Hello everyone, welcome to ASC Astrology. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host astrologer, Blue Yasmin. And let me first start off by saying or giving my apologies for not doing a face-to-face. I am away from home at the moment and I have been having a little bit of a problem with my iPad and my mobile that's really old and not very well in functioning in the way that I need to when it comes to doing a YouTube video. So hence I am being eclipsed at the moment. You can hear me, but you cannot see me. And that really goes with the squaring that I'm having with my Virgo, which is squaring my North Node at the moment in Gemini in my 11th house, which kind of explains the problem that I'm getting with my technical stuff, and this is the 11th house, the house of the collective and social media. Yes, you cannot make this stuff up, can we? So anyway, let's get on with this solar eclipse that's happening in Virgo, and GMT, it's happening at 7:41 p.m. And so do work out the time according to where you are. And this solar eclipse in Virgo, it is really quite different from other solar eclipse and even new moons, because the new moons generally have that energy of wanting to go forward and building on new things and new projects, whereas this eclipse is coming up with a different theme. Considering that it is at 29 degrees as well, which is that crisis point, it's the anaretic degree. And, Virgo really wants to do, and it's been trying so hard with, starting up with the sun and the moon going in together on the 23rd of August at 0 degrees, almost together. And that new moon was a black moon. And then it went right in the middle with the lunar eclipse, Pisces, 15 degrees lunar eclipse. And then we had the sun in Virgo, 15 degrees, getting right in the middle of those signs, that intense part of the signs, and collecting all that juice, all that information of what's so typical about both those signs. And then Virgo wanted to finish it off at that 29 degrees, another critical degree. And, what it wants to do is take all of this stuff and put it in a nice, neat box and put a bow around it. And, well, it's not happening in that way, although, Virgo has done that beautiful symmetrical thing with the numbers. With this new moon, it is really about continuing this theme of being introspective. It's about going inwards and continuing to look inwards, continuing to disintegrate the systems and structures and letting go of the things that aren't working for us. And this is because the moon is at the south node in Virgo. So it really wants us to keep digging into that south node bucket and continue to dig things up and go really deep to ensure that we are really letting go of the stuff that we need to let go of that's not serving us anymore. And then on top of that, we have the Saturn that's retrograding in Saturn, that is in Pisces, that is in strong opposition to the solar eclipse. And the Saturn is at 28 degrees retrograding in Pisces. And so this energy is wanting us to ensure that the structures are carefully being reviewed, and that it wants us to look back. It wants us to do that Piscean thing of, going inwards and really thinking deeply about all the things that we need to let go. And, the Pisces, it is the last house of the horoscope. It is the ending, the house of the ending and the house of surrendering. And and Saturn has decided to go and do a revisit. So it is really calling us to stay within these themes of reviewing and letting go. And then what adds to that is that we have the outer planets, Uranus and Pluto also retrograding, as well as Neptune. So there is this real feel of having to go back and re-look. and keep within this deep place in our minds where we have to carefully think about all the things that we have to get rid of to make this new space for these new structures and new routines in our life. And Virgo really wants to do that very, very carefully. And we're going to go into the reasons why this needs to go really, really deep. But first, I just want to talk about Mercury. Mercury has just gone through a cazimi, and it had been in the last few days, before the cazimi, been getting very burnt out and exhausted. And then on the 30th of September, it went through a cazimi and, collected that crown and that beautiful light from the sun, and has been reborn as the king. Being exalted, naturally exalted in Virgo, it has really left this beautiful mercurial feeling in the Virgo sign, because it's now moved into Libra. But before doing so, it had been cazimied by the sun, and so has been rebirthed and renewed and now rejoiced. So at the moment, what we have is this quite, not so intense, but there is an opposition between the Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury. And perhaps in the last few days, you've been having this kind of niggling feeling of needing to have to kind of bring something out in the form of communication, where maybe you've kind of held back of certain things that you may want to say, whether it's to yourself or to other people. And this really needed to, and still needs to come out into the open, where there has to be, some honesty. And if not, then Saturn will catch up with you. So we also have, beyond Mercury, we've got the Mars squaring with Pluto in Aquarius, and Mars is at 29 degrees in Libra, and we've got Venus squaring with Uranus. Now this sits outside this beautiful kite configuration that we have, and we'll get back to that in a minute. So the Mars squaring with the Pluto, we may feel during this time where there could be, a kind of power play going on between either within yourself, within your thoughts and communicating with yourself, but also, this could be relating to other people and relationships, whether it's partnership of some kind in businesses or intimate relationships or friendships. There could be some kind of power play going on where one feels more empowered than the other, one is taking control more than the other, and there is a loss of empowerment with the opposite person. And there could also be this build up and manifesting of this energy, which can become quite confrontational, and things could be said, coming out in an explosive, outbursting kind of way, where there could be regrets. And so, do be aware of this energy that's building up, and try and use that kind of Mars energy, of that energy of frustration building up, to try and use it in a more useful, beautiful way. It being in Libra, it's at 29 degrees, so kind of Mars is feeling that it's ready to leave that land of diplomacy and friendship. And it being squared with Pluto, there could be a real build-up of anger and frustration. So do be aware of that and be conscious of this energy. The more conscious that we are of these energies, the better that we can deal with them. And then, of course, we have that Venus squaring with Uranus, and this could bring sudden shifts, sudden changes in relationships. It could bring sudden changes in your direct environments, with your possessions, even your values. And so, these can help to grow you, and, it can bring you to better places in life. But do make sure that when these changes are coming in suddenly, and you decide to bring in these changes, that they are done in a way that is of value to you, and that these new changes will support you, and that they are authentic to who you are. So do bear that in mind. But also there is this beautiful sextile going on between Mars and Venus, and this energy between Mars and Venus can help to balance out these squaring energies, but it also gives you a kind of way out of releasing that kind of frustration that is building up. And this is a really, really wonderful time to release the energy in that kind of Venetian Virgo way, where you're using the body. You're using a way of releasing that energy, and the way you can do that is by listening to music, singing, dancing, going for a really nice brisky stroll and putting the headphones on, and just releasing some of that frustration. And and that way that energy will come out more harmonious. And there's other different ways. You can use your sense of humor, find ways of laughing and bellowing, try and find ways of releasing that energy so that your senses really do feel that and appreciate the way that the energy is being released, and that it feeds your senses in some manner or form. So beyond that, we do have this kite configuration. Now, this kite configuration is just full of opportunity and potential and creativity. And it is made up of this minor grand trine, which is made up of these outer planets. And also it's where we have the solar eclipse that's involved with this kite configuration. But this kite formation, which really wants to kind of act as a kind of trajectory, where it wants to just fly us forward, just push us forward. It's a bit like being on a trampoline, and it wants us to jump really high and bring us and ascend us to somewhere, really in a place where there's lots of opportunities that we can use, and potential and creativity. But because of this opposition happening at the south node, and with the Saturn, and then we have the outer planets retrograding, it's kind of slowing this process down, where these outer planets are wanting to take a pause and rewind. And then we have that south node where we have to look back and look into all our old habits and our old way of doing things and our old values, our old routines and systems, where what these outer planets are asking us to do is really take time to look into what needs to be taken away from us, so to make this new pure space that's going to help us to spring forward into the future, where there's lots of changes that are going to take place in such a profound, intense way. Now, with the south node, where you have your old tools, these tools, by now you've been holding them on for so long, have become rusty, heavy, old and stiff. But what these planets are saying as they're retrograding is that we want to slow down. We don't just want to hastily throw things away and say, okay, let's just start all brand new and go forward. We really want to look at and think very carefully, and go very deep within ourselves and ask, what is it that we need to let go? Why we need to let go of them? And appreciate the stuff that's not working for us anymore, let go of them, and evaluate the things that were not working for us and why they weren't working for us. Because where we are going in the future, it's going to be so new that I can't even really bring it into words. And I think we all feel it, that something is coming, something is around the corner that is so different and so unpredictable. And in many ways, we are not really going to be ready. But what we need to prepare ourselves for is to make a new space. And what we need to prepare ourselves for is to do a lot of shedding, a lot of sloughing, And this means to let go of things that are not serving us anymore. But we want to do it with retrospect. We want to do it with thought, and we want to do it with appreciation. We want to not just throw away the past, but think about what the past has been for us and where it has brought us today. Because as we move into this fast moving future, we don't want to be left in a place of trauma where we've left our side behind and not really understood what we have let go of. We need to understand what we're letting go of, and we need to understand our present state. And this is going to take time. And this is where the outer planets are really playing their role. And this is very intent from the cosmos. This is a very intent action that the cosmos is taking, where we have had these outer planets, these generational planets, these slow moving planets, so beautifully kind of coming in together into new signs. And now they're kind of retrograding together, and then they will next year be going forward again, almost together. And that's a really purposeful action in that kind of cosmos kind of way. These planets are basically retrograding, and I have these kind of, I like to call them the RE words, where they are retrograding, they're rewinding, they're returning, they're revisiting, they're reviewing, researching, but at the same time they're reflecting, rehearsing, recharging. And I know I should make some kind of song out of it. But the whole purpose of this is to really partly take a pause, because the outer planets, the cosmos, is understanding that what is about to come in the future is going to be so profoundly new, unique, and novel, and so deeply. I think the only word that I can think of is that we're all going to be reborn. It is a rebirth. It is not a new chapter. It is a new book. And it's not part of a series. This is a whole new film. And everything is going to be changed on every layer of our lives. We're talking about socially, economically, politically. We're talking about religiously, our belief systems. We're talking about our physical aspects of ourselves, our environment, and our values, our minds, our emotions. And they are going to change, and they are going to change, and then change after that, and change after that. Now, what these planets are doing now is that they want to go back to ensure, it's like they're going back with a checklist, and they're going over things over and over again to ensure that the foundation is strong and grounded for us to go through these massive changes that are coming, and probably will start at some point in the new year. This is all about reviewing, being introspective, and still letting go, because the next eclipse is going to be in Aquarius, and this is where the brand new starts. We know that Aquarius is all about new starts. It's about totally obliterating old systems and bringing in new. It's unpredictable, it's spontaneous, and it is all about growth and evolution and ascending. And so, this is helping us to give us that time to let go of things that are not working for us and that are not serving us, and for us to make this clear, pure, this is Virgo, this pure, clean space. But we've got to do that Virgo thing, that when we're letting go, we do that in detail. We look at the details. We do the research while we're letting go. And while there are some of us that have made these goals, these ideas we have for our new routines, this is a time where you may feel that you feel a little bit lost, or you feel like you've reached too far with your plans or your ambitions or your goals. for this everyday structure, this everyday routine, these new systems in your life, these new ideas that you have, you may feel like, I don't know anymore. I'm not sure anymore. And you may feel a bit lost. You may feel like you've let yourself down. You certainly will feel tired, because with Saturn retrograding, it does bring this heaviness to the body, heaviness to the mind and the emotion. But be aware of this energy. What this energy that you may be feeling, that I had all these wonderful thoughts and these wonderful ideas, but I'm not so sure anymore. I feel a little bit anxious. I feel like I've reached too far. I don't know whether I can go towards those goals. This is all about reviewing, and this is why you may be feeling this, because these planets, you've got to remember, are living within us, and this eclipse is an eclipse that is happening within us. And so if we're not kind of working out what these energies mean, we could confuse it to feeling like a failure, feeling tired, feeling lost, feeling like that we've let ourselves down, not sure that we can reach those goals. But all this energy wants us to do is to take a pause, is to take a breath, is to be still for a while. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop all your tasks in your entire life, but it means that when it comes to that future goal that we have, or that future plan that we have, is that's going to help us with this everyday routine and structure, is that what it's saying is that we just need to step back, and we need to look, and we need to make sure that this is, the steps that we should be taking, and these are going to take us to a place where it's going to work for us. And because these changes are going to be so immense, we do need to dig in deep, and we need to take it slow. And so this is going to be a long process, and this is going to carry out right up to next year, but especially right up to the end of this year. There is a lot of stuff that's happening, particularly with the moon, that I'm going to do a video on, and it is going to affect a quadrant part of our chart depending on your rising sign. And I will be doing a video on that, because it's part and parcel of this story and this theme that's happening now at present. So it is really important to take a breath and take it slow, and allow the energy of this slow, or this rewinding energy, to take place, because it should be taking place. Like I said, it is the intent of the cosmos that things should be rewinded, and things should be reviewed and researched, and then also reflecting and recharging. It is like going in for a rehearsal, to ensure that everything is going to be taking place in a way that is going to be working for the collective as well as for us individually. And so we have this grand trine with the minor grand trine with these three outer planets, the generational planets. So remember, these are the generational planets. So they're working on something that is coming, that is going to bring such a huge change on a collective level, on a generational level. And these changes are going to be happening very quickly, and there's going to be so much changes in the next 30 years, especially while Pluto is in Aquarius. And so these changes, it's going to be something that we're going to have to somehow be prepared for. So we have this grand trine, which is an air grand trine, which involves the solar eclipse in Virgo, and we have the Aquarius Pluto at 1 degree, and we have the Uranus at 1 degree, also retrograding along with Pluto in Gemini. Now these signs are mutable, and this grand trine is an air grand trine that is a mutable grand trine. So this is a really harmonious aspect that just has this fluidity and flow to it. So just keep that in mind, that this should be a flowing energy where we are allowed to take a breath and take a pause and slow down, so that things can be reviewed. Now, what this trine is really about, I've got two key words for this grand trine, this air grand trine, and how we go forward, even though we don't really know what to expect, is we go forward with an open mind and with adaptability. And it being an air trine, a grand trine, is that it is helping us to open up our minds, to clear the space, and to give that room for changes to come in. And of course, they are mutable, so they are very adaptable signs. And so the other key word is that as we go forward, we go forward with this adaptable approach, so so that it can prepare us. It's the two things that we can do to prepare for the future, is to have the open mind, and is to, as we build into the future with new routines and new structures, that these new routines and structures are adaptable, so that when these changes come about, we have this adaptable foundation, that we can accept these changes as they come along, because these changes are going to come very quickly. And as these changes come, there'll be more changes, and there'll be more changes and more changes. So we really are asked to have this open mind, work with this harmonious energy, and to have this adaptable approach. And so that is very, very important. And we also have the day after, we've got the equinox, we've got the autumn equinox, which is also about releasing and letting go, but keeping the things that nourish us. That harvesting aspect to it is keeping the stuff that nourishes us, that keeps us sustained, is very, very important. So I really do hope you enjoy this solar eclipse, and I hope you have time to take a breath and to really allow yourself, without worrying too much, without feeling that you've let yourself down, and realize that no, this is just a pause. This is just reviewing, and it's just to make sure, and I'm allowing the universe to do that. So it is a time of introspect and stillness, while you get on with your everyday. We are such complex human beings, aren't we? Well, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to hopefully come back next time where you can see me face to face. And I've got a few things to do. I have to, like I said, I've got this this phone that is so old. It's a really cheap phone. It cost me about 30 quid. And I've got a refurbished iPad that I've had for quite a while. So I'm going to take a trip to Apple. I'm going to treat myself to a new iPad, and for the first time get myself a flashy phone. I'm going to get myself an iPhone, and I'm also going to go back home and finish off this little corner of my home that I have dedicated to for the YouTube channel, where I've set it up where it is always set up. And yes, I do have a stellium in my Virgo, and I like to be very ordered, and I like things in their places. And so, you know, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to finish off give the finishing touches, and treat myself to a few bits that I can add on to the shelves. And hopefully when you see me next time, there'll be a new background using my new equipment, and I'm going to enjoy spending. And you can really tell where my Virgo is. Yes, it is in the second house, where I'll be spending, and I'm not going to get stressed about it. I'm going to enjoy it. And where I am, you know, letting go of a lot of old stuff and bringing new stuff in. But it's not just material stuff. I myself is going through a process of letting go a lot of my old values, letting go a lot of my old habits and ways, and boy, am I feeling it. And I'm still going through that process, as we all are. And so I do wish you all the very best, and do enjoy this solar eclipse, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta.